And I was moving on, not only mentally, but physically, trying to figure out how I could get out of the marriage completely at that time.
Okay. So you opened up the relationship.
And it was,
But did he want I know the relationship or the marriage was on the rocks, but did he want to open up the marriage?
I mean, I'd say honestly, probably not. He is satisfied with just having me. I have always been very bisexual, and I have always been a very sexual individual. And I think that's why he knew prior to me even doing this that there was a potential chance I would end up some way, somehow doing porn. So for me, I really enjoy having a man and a female.
And
It's a sexual preference.
While you guys were married, perhaps at the earlier portions of your marriage, were you stay at home and was he working?
Here we go. So I would say the first 3 years, I was a stay-at-home mom. He worked, and then it went from the next 5-6 years, like he was a stay-at-home dad. I worked, and then it went kind of to us both working while the kids went to school, when the kids were completely off in school full-time.
Okay. I guess, though, bringing it back, you said there was some shaky periods of your marriage, but that was, 14 years ago?
That was 2010 is when I left.
Okay, 14, 15 years ago. You guys obviously have remained married, though, so you guys, I assume, reconciled your issues?
Yeah.
And that happened when was is it better, I guess?
I don't know the exact date or year when I lived in Vegas. I mean, 24 years is a long time into timeline. I don't know, we just started building our friendship again and building our friendship, and then and then I think that when people live together for so long, it's hard not to reconcile. What's the word? I don't even know how to say the word. But you're like, hey, this has happened, and moved on. Okay,
and then just bringing it back to my initial point, you started doing OF. You're doing content with other men. You're sleeping with other men for content, not just for fun, I guess. He's okay with this?
Well, yeah. I mean, I like we've had this conversation, right? I don't where my heart is today. I have no interest in dating somebody or getting emotionally attached to them in any way, shape, or form. When I have these encounters, it is just sex, and a lot of the time it's monetized, right? We're creating a video so that we can sell the video. I don't have an emotional attachment to them at all. Some of them are really great friends, but I'm not going to leave my husband for them. Me and my husband have a very strong relationship now.
So going back to the question, though, would you, if your husband had said, I don't want you, relationship being...
The answer would be no.
The whole relationship being opened up, or the marriage opening up, kind of muddies the water a little bit, because there was already, prior to you doing OnlyFans, there's this component of...
We were already having sex together with other people.
Yeah. Oh, he was sleeping with other women.
With me.
Okay, but then does he sleep with men?
No.
But he'll have devil's threesomes with you.
Yeah.
So there'll be another dude.
That girl?
So it's girl, guy.
Yeah, so he's had threesomes with me with another male.
Are you feeling a bit traumatized right now?
I'm like, she knows.
Yeah,
so
she
hold
knows.
On. So wait. Has he ever done cuck stuff,
No.
He watches in the corner?
So he is my biggest fan, and he really enjoys my videos, and I really think that this was a kink that kind of progressed over the development of my career. But we found that he really does enjoy watching my videos while I do activities.
Wait, just to be clear,
yes.
just to make it blunt, he enjoys watching your videos of you having sex with other men.
While I perform activities.
Having sex with other men?
No, on him.
Oh God.
I was
Okay.
trying to be.
All right.
Wait, hang on. No, I'm not. I just want to clarify this. You're performing sex acts on him while he's watching you perform sex acts on other people.
Yeah, on the phone.
Yeah.
Wait,
Okay.
he watch it.
But he's not the guy to, like, sit there in the corner and like watch somebody like have sex with me
Just on the phone.
Yeah, he just wants
and
to
not
watch it on his phone.
participate. You know what I'm saying? Like, he wants to participate, so
I
I wouldn't categorize him as a cuck. I know it's complicated. I literally.
Well, wait, hang on. But he does like watching other men doing things with you while he's doing things with you.
Yeah.
That would be definitionally cuckoldry.
Well,
like on his phone. So, okay, he's having sex with you. On his phone, he's watching a video of you having sex with other men.
it's really hot. Like, this is like intense sex, like crazy wild sex.
Excuse me? Literally? That's fucking disgusting.
Wait, okay,
Who
final.
said that? You?
No, it was the soundboard.
Oh, okay.
Wait, so, okay.
He's like, it was me. He's like, don't blame me.
So, wait, if he had said, no, you're not going to do OnlyFans, would it have been the end of the marriage? Would you have divorced him?
Well, I would have said,
Into the
like,
mic,
if
into the
this,
mic.
oh, yeah. I mean, I'm going to be honest. Like,
You were going to do it.
If he wanted to leave, he could leave. If he wanted to leave, if he wanted to stay, he could stay.
Sure. So if he put his foot down, you would have said, well, we've talked about it. I've heard you out, but I don't care what you think. I'm going to do it anyways.
I can't
And
download
then
24 years of experience, but during the experiences that we've had, this was this one time where I was like, this is something I'm not willing to sacrifice for
So
this.
you wouldn't.
sorry.
Two more last things.
Yeah, no problem.
So
Yeah.
you wouldn't have divorced him, but you would have.
If he wanted to leave.
If it was such a deal breaker for him, he would have divorced you, I
Yes.
guess. Okay. It's
Yeah.
and then I guess my final thought on this, and then I'll pass it over to Andrew. Public service announcement to the men watching. If your wife, wants to open up the relationship, no. And then if she wants to start doing OnlyFans or other kind of sex work, no. That's a divorce. That's a goodbye.
Waiting to happen.
It's over. I mean, honestly, even if she brings it up, but then you like convince her not to do that shit, you should probably still get the divorce. The relationship's over. Once she's breached the conversation of open relationship, even if like you guys sit down and you're like, no, I want us to stay monogamous, and she's like, well, I guess okay. No, it's over. If she even I don't even know if she Google searches that shit, you have to divorce. How to open
Not the Google search.
any sort of hint that she wants an open relationship or she's going to have a conversation with you, instant divorce. She wants to do OnlyFans, instant divorce.
I
That's literally
disagree.
hilarious.
I have so many friends who are in happily married relationships that are swingers, and they have very
Great.
healthy marriages.
Look, that's
it's not
fine
for
you.
everybody.
Prescriptively, what the advice I would give to men is, it is unacceptable for your girlfriend or wife to be having sex with another man. That is the bare minimum of just having any sort of coherent, reasonable standard for your partner. They should not be having sexual intercourse, carnal knowledge with another man. That's an L for you. If she wants to open the relationship, she wants to do OF, it's a wrap. Back to the streets she goes. Hold on.
She belongs to the street.
Back to the streets. Look, if
Maybe
you're
I
dealing
do.
with a chick that's already involved in that shit, that's on you. But if your relationship is monogamous and she's not doing OF and she's moving in that direction, that is the end of the relationship. If you have any self-respect as a man, You have something quick, then I'm passing it off to Andrew. Go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. So it sounds like you, not to accuse you of anything,
Yeah,
but it sounds like
no.
you really pressured him into both of these decisions. Do you think he holds any resentment against you long term over this? 'Cause
They had a
this,
pretty-
this is something that I keep in mind, and why I stay single, because I wouldn't want to force a partner into being okay with something that I do and then hold resentment against me for it.
They
I
had a
didn't
pretty
force
rough.
him. Yeah, I didn't force him to do
they had a pretty-
anything. I gave him the opportunity.
Because they had a
if
pretty-
he wanted,
with
if
you
he
so
wanted to
bad.
leave, if
Because they had a pretty rough relationship growing up, like in general. So it was like if he wanted to stay like that was his choice. You know what I mean? Like because he obviously wasn't doing the things that he needed to be doing as a man. And
Wait, just to clarify, that's your biological
this is my
father,
dad.
right?
Correct.
Yes, this is my father. So
Okay, so don't you think there was any incentive for him to be like, well, I still want to be, there
but
with
that's-
my daughter. There's this pressure that
But
I
that's what-
have to stay with her. I have a child, yada, yada, yada. I guess I'll let her do this just because I want
all
to stay
my
in the
kids are
house.
grown.
see, and the thing is my dad was never like that. Like my mom did everything for us. Like my dad was there and stuff, but my mom was the one that was really did everything for us. So, but it's true. Like, but if we're gonna like.
I know, but
He did do stuff for us still. He was there, but I'm just saying, for example, for the conversation of, do you feel like you were pressuring him that he did it for us? I don't think he did it for us. He did it because he wanted to be with her, not for us. Because it wasn't for us.
there's complications in marriage, with any marriage, especially a 24-year marriage. That's a very long time. There is so many things to contribute, and this was just, if he wanted to leave, he was more than welcome to leave, or he could stay and we could work it out with what I was doing. But
There definitely
it is
wasn't
what
any
it is.
pressure.
And people might think I'm a B, and I really don't care. I really, really don't. But I do love having the conversation, helping people understand that perspective.
I don't think it's fair to say there was no pressure over on this end.
Oh, no.
There's definitely pressure around it. I'm not saying you tied him down. You're like, you're staying here, but
Yeah.
there's definitely an emotional, a familial pressure around staying with your wife.
Well, when I was like third grade, my mom had left my dad and took me, and we left. And so the reason why they got back together for the kids and for stuff like that. So to be honest with you, it was already like to the point where it wasn't exactly like a relationship is already supposed to be like. So it was kind of like, it wasn't like they were like doing it, like, it was different. It was different than that.
Well,
And
I wanted to read.
Go ahead,
Very
yeah.
quickly. I wanted to read this to you. This was a super chat I got on my end that summarizes a lot of what people are thinking right now hearing this story. This comes in from Mikey, and he says, "My husband is great. I cheated on him. I let him watch me sleep with our friends. I would have divorced him if he didn't let me do OnlyFans. He's amazing." Right? That kind of summarizes, I think, the thoughts of a lot of people right now who are kind of listening to this tale. Like here, I'll give you another example of this. Why this is so foreign to me. So if one of my daughters, for instance, was ever bad-mouthing me in public, ever talking like my wife would lean over, doesn't matter. It's 25, 35. My wife would lean over and smack her across the mouth. You ever talk about your dad like that again, I'll rip your heart, right? She would never in a million years, right? But this is kind of almost flagrant, right? Like your daughter's there, and she just kind of runs her old man down, and
I'm not running him down. I'm just
you're kind of running him down.
How? I'm just saying that at the end of the day, like, there was other things that my mom was gonna do, like modeling and stuff like that. And my dad, because of his being jealous and stuff like that, caused us to not be able to have a different life that we were supposed to have. So, for example, like, she's trying to make something for us.
That he doesn't want other men to fuck his wife. Yeah.
No, she's not
she's
not talking
I'm not
about that.
talking
She's
about
talking
that.
about other opportunities,
like modeling,
because
she was doing runway.
I wasn't even doing that.
She was doing like other
managing the
stuff. She was
company.
managing a company, and my dad was so jealous that she had to leave and go do these things, trying to be a productive, responsible woman, trying to make something for her family. And my father was like jealous about those things, and so it kind of to the point where my mom had to stop doing that.
Wouldn't you want your dad to want your wife, your mom, all to himself, not to share her with any other men?
They're not going to understand because they don't know the history.
Was it
and that's
SFW
okay.
modeling or NSFW modeling?
It was. She
I
was
never
doing the
even-
makeup and stuff. She was
until
basically-
4 years ago. I had nothing to do with the corn industry.
No, this was when I was younger. She was doing actual things for actual projects for runway and things like that. And because my mom had to go stay with a guy that was married, like he wouldn't
no
let her.
intention.
He wanted to like stand there and be there, and he like ruined that. So basically, but he wasn't drive to do something more for us. You know what I mean? So it was like my mom was trying to do all of this.
Let my wife go stay with some guy so she could go be a model? Like,
No, but that's not
see,
what it
honey,
is.
they're not
what
going
it
to
is at all.
understand.
She
okay?
wasn't
It
modeling. She
me
was
modeling.
running
I
model
was-
shows. Like she was doing the runway, like getting them dressed, doing the stuff, like doing productive things
Doing
like that.
their hair, doing
working
their
with the
makeup.
guy that was running it all, and he was
Yeah.
jealous that she was trying to work just because he was a man.
And we weren't
That
staying in
was
the
it.
same hotel.
They weren't. It was just
it
the
was
fact
just-
that she was doing something that he wasn't allowed to do too. That was the problem. So I'm not saying that like that he didn't do anything. Yes, he was there. I love him so much. I'm thankful for everything that he's done for me. But at the end of the day, like my mom deserves also to be able to make something for her family. And if he's not doing that, then like he can't stop her from doing that because someone has to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think a husband can do that. I think a husband has the authority to absolutely say whether he's comfortable with or not comfortable with when it comes to the work of his wife. I think wives do that all the time. So I'll give you an example. There's a lot of men out there who work very dangerous jobs. And there's been times where I've seen actual grateful women. I go to them and say, listen, sweetheart, the job that you're doing is extremely dangerous and I just want you to come home. So I want you to switch occupations because I literally want you to come home. I need you to come home. I adore you.
But the
right?
job that she was doing wasn't dangerous.
That's not the point. The point is that it's a matter of responding to the preference of the partner also, understanding that people have boundaries, right? It's not that the guy wants to quit
then
being a firefighter.
so he
Maybe
should have been
loves being a
doing-
fire- Hang on. Maybe he loves being a firefighter. Let's say he loves being a firefighter, but the wife comes to him and is like, look, I need you to come home at the end of the day. I want you to switch occupations, even if you love being a firefighter. This happens all the time. And men will usually go, okay, they'll accommodate a switch in occupations, even for something they love to accommodate their women. I just don't ever see that vice versa.
Okay,
It just, honey,
it's fine.
yeah.
Like I said, in the
you're
beginning of the
I don't
podcast, everybody has their own
totally agree.
opinions.
That's fair. I don't know the history, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying that.
And I
at
respect
least
that,
from
and
what
I
I've
totally
heard.
respect your opinion. But like, I know what I've sacrificed and what I've given and what I've put in over and over and over and over again. And this was just, and maybe I'm 44 years old now. My kids are grown, right? Most of them are out of the house, right? And so this was point of my time where I'm making this decision. This is what I'm doing, right? And like I said, I love my husband, and if he wants to stay with me, he can. But if he doesn't want to stay with me, I'm okay with that.
You're okay if your husband didn't want to stay with you?
I'm not here to control anybody, right? And if that's something that somebody doesn't want to choose to be in my life, right? I'm not here to control anybody's life anymore. You know, maybe when I was, and don't take offense of this, ladies in their 20s, but in my 20s, I'm at a point where my life, right? I'm not begging anybody to stay, and I'm not begging anybody to accept my decisions, that the things that I'm doing. Like, if you don't want to get on board and you don't like it, that's okay. I'm okay with that, right?
I am actually having some difficulty wrapping my head around this. I mean, I haven't been married quite as long as you, but I've been married for an awful long time. And if I said to my wife, you know, I just don't really care if you stay or you go. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think that she would see that as my husband loves me very much type of thing.
Well, he
to
knows.
be perfectly honest with you, I don't think that she would see it that way.
Yeah, I'm just not.
People see things differently.
Yeah, we live completely different lives, right? And completely different lifestyles.
Exactly, and you can't. I can't expect someone to understand things like that, and then I can't understand a lot of things that other people are going. You know, so it's just sometimes when you're not in that predicament in your life, like you can't really understand what is actually going on. But everybody has the right to their own opinions. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I understand we all have a right to an opinion.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to understand the view. right? So I'm actually trying to understand it from your perspective, not just from mine.
Yeah.
If
So
he
the way
said,
that I'm going to do that is I'm going to obviously relate it to my own experiences
Yes.
like you are, so I can try to understand where it is that you're coming from. But if somebody came to you, a friend of yours came to you who was a man and said, you know, I don't really give a shit if my wife leaves or she stays, would you think in your head, well, this is a man who adores his wife?
Well, if they've had experiences in life like 20 years of being together.
Well, you don't know all the past. You don't know everything. You
yeah.
don't know all of
I wouldn't know
would your-
because
what would
It's
your
not that I
initial
don't
reaction
love
to
my
that be?
husband. I love my husband. I really, really do. But I love what I do. I genuinely love what I do. And maybe it is my kids are growing. I've raised my kids. My kids are out of the house. They're doing their own thing. I have grandkids that are out there in the world, right? And this is where I'm like, okay, what am I going to do next, right? And I love what I do, right? And I'm just,
Which
because
you prefer?
somebody doesn't want me to do that, I should make the decision that I'm not going to pursue the thing that I'm doing because I love it and I enjoy it because somebody said that I shouldn't do it.
Can I get a point of clarity?
Yeah.
You said you opened your relationship, and you did say that you do have relations with other men, just you two. Does he have other relations with other women, just himself?
No, he chooses not to. He knows that he has.
Okay.
He knows that he has. Like if he came and said, "Honey, I'm going to go meet with this girl," like all that kind of stuff, I would be okay with that. It would be hypocritical of me
No, I get
not to
that.
be okay with that. You know, so I'm not gonna be like, oh no, you can't do that. You know, no, I'm gonna be like, have fun, be safe.
Did you guys talk about this before you got married?
Oh no, honey, we met. I was 19 years old. I met in January 14th of 2000, and we were married August 10th of 2000. So there was no conversation there.
You guys expected it to just be you two?
Oh no, we got married because I was pregnant.
Yeah, that's the only reason it was, because my older brother, he's a year, 1 month and 10 days older than me. We're like technically Irish twins. She got pregnant with him. She didn't even know him for that long. So it was kind of like they were just making things happen. And then they ended up, wanting to raise us and stuff like that. Like they didn't really even know each other for that long to begin with, to have conversations like that.
Yeah.
Because everything happened so quickly.
Yeah. We're literally, I was 3 months pregnant.
He has been there. He's a great dad.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, what I mean by that is, he has no right to tell my mom basically what she can or cannot do just because of the fact that my mom has done everything that she can do. And it would have been just selfish from all the other things that's happened in the past, from other things that we could have been doing right now instead of this.
Yeah. Is your dad supportive of your OF?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, then I
think
he's a great dad.
Yeah, well,
I don't think he's a great dad anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I think
that would
that
be my view on it.
I think he's seen how hard we work, how much fun we actually have, how we impact people, and we don't just impact people on a sexual level. We also do social media,
And I'm also-
safer work, and we do a lot of positivity out there. So it's not just all. 80% of my content is safe for work. 20% of my content is not safe for work.
And he knows that I'm not doing this to do this forever. He knows that I'm doing this because I'm trying to be able to do the money, to be able to start my, my business, to go to school, to be able to have bigger things. This isn't the long term. I'm not expecting to do this for the rest of my life. I'm expecting for this to be able to make something of other things so that I can actually focus on those things instead of having to work a 9 to 5, not making anything, struggling to survive, trying to then go to school and make something of my life and for my children.
There are millions and millions and millions and hundreds of millions and actually billions of young women who go to school and work their way through without ever selling a single nude, without ever sucking a single dick, without ever doing any of that. There's literally over a billion.
Yeah, but
right?
those
who are alive.
I agree.
Who are alive right now, at least in that age bracket, probably around 1 billion. And it's like,
But a lot of those people.
how is it that this idea of I need money? It's like, well, everybody needs money. Everybody needs money. But me as a father, I think, I can't control my adult children. I can't do anything about the choices that they make ultimately, except to weigh in. That's true. There's nothing I can do. It's out of my hands except to put whatever pressure I can, which is very little in modernity, right? I can't go kick in the door and drag them out, whatever stupid thing they're doing, even though sometimes I would probably prefer to. But I would never support those endeavors. I'd never be like, I am here to support what it is that you're doing, especially when it came to something like that. You know, that doesn't sound to me like
If
how
you're-
a typical father would think.
If your daughter came to you and said that she was doing this, what would you do? Would you disown her? Or would
Yeah,
you
well, at least it's
somehow
all behavior
find out a
stuff.
way
Listen.
to support her?
If you're doing something which is this horrific, at least from my view, especially a Christian view, it's not that I would stop loving my kids. I don't even think that would be possible.
Exactly.
Right? But that doesn't mean that I would ever enable such behavior. And I would let it be known, not only do I not support this, but I'm going to apply as much pressure as I possibly can within the confines and boundaries which are reasonable to make it known that I'm not going to support this behavior. And if that includes me distancing myself, I think actually that's what good parenting is. Sometimes putting down really staunch, tough boundaries, right? Because kids also like to shit test, don't they? You know that. They love to shit test. It's one of their favorite things to do. And one of the things that happens when they shit test, right, and they want to have a game of the wills against an old, stubborn man like myself, well, I'm going to win in the end, right? I'm going to win in the end. So the thing is like, look, I don't think that is ultimately what good fathers would do. I don't think good fathers would not apply that type of pressure. I mean,